I just want to read you a miracle that Jesus did after period of time probably teaching his disciples. So, from Mark chapter 9, verse 14. Here we go. When they came to the other disciples, they saw a large crowd around them, and the teachers arguing with them. As soon as all the people saw Jesus, they were overwhelmed with wonder and ran to meet him. "What are you arguing with them about?" he asked. A man in the crowd answered, "Teacher, I brought you my son, who is possessed by a spirit that has robbed him of speech. Whenever it seizes him, it throws him to the ground. He foams at the mouth, gnashing his teeth, and becomes rigid. I asked your disciples to drive out the spirit. They could not." Wow, looks like the description about throwing him to the ground, foam in his mouth, gnashing his teeth, grinding his teeth, and his body become rigid. It sounds kind of like epilepsy or something like that. But I guess a demon or evil spirit entered this young man's body to cause that. Okay. And then Jesus' response is a bit funny, but at the same time, he's probably a little frustrated. So about why are these people coming? Always about healing, because he's ready to heal, but yeah. Let's read what Jesus says. "Oh, unbelieving generation," he replied, "how long should I stay with you? How long should I put up with you? Bring the boy to me." Wow. He's like, how many miracles do I have to perform? How much healing I have to perform up in a public way to, because from what I remember reading, it's like Jesus is trying to find a balance. He's not always healing people, because he also wants to teach people, prepare the way, and get as much, teaching people about God's word, about what is to come, and all that. And also, Jesus have to take time, have private time to instruct his disciples, so that when Jesus passes away and get resurrected 3 days later, and go to heaven, that the disciples become apostles, that they're prepared to be and teach more people and create and make more disciples and stuff. And so, okay, let's back to the story. So they brought him. When the spirit saw Jesus, it immediately threw the boy into convulsion. He fell to the ground and rolled around, foaming at the mouth. Jesus asked the boy's father, "How long has he been like this?" "From childhood," he answered. "It has often thrown him into fire or water to kill him, but if you can do anything, take pity on us and help us." Well, the father answered is from childhood, so I feel like this boy is not really a little boy. It's more like maybe a teenager, a young man. That's why I kind of in all three Gospels, they label it a boy. Okay, a boy is a big, long range, but there's different ages, so just imagine this, let's say a teenage boy. How about that? We're not seeing like a 5-year-old, 6-year-old boy, because from the father's words, from childhood, for a really long time. This man's son been dealing with this for a really long time. But when this father heard about Jesus, he ran to find Jesus and ask for help. Okay. If you can, said Jesus, everything is possible for him who believes. Immediately the boy's father exclaimed, I do believe. Help me overcome my unbelief. Wow. That is a... Jesus has conversations with people to find out where, that the person requesting, like, that person to be healed, like, more information. So Jesus observe and talk, and then Jesus like, if you can. Of course Jesus can do that, but Jesus remember that everything is possible for him who believes. Or everything is possible for her who believes. And what the teenage boy's father says, I do believe, help me overcome my unbelief. So there's humbleness there too. This father believes, but he still have a lot of unbelief. He wants Jesus to help him to help him to not believe anymore, become really fully believe. Okay, let's back to when Jesus saw that a crowd was running to the scene, he rebuked this evil spirit. You deaf and mute spirit, he said, I command you, come out of him and never enter him again. The spirit shrieked, convulsed him violently, and came out. The boy looked so much like a corpse that many said, He's dead. But Jesus took him by the hand and lifted him to his feet, and he stood up. After Jesus had gone indoors, his disciples asked him privately, Why couldn't we drive it out? He replied, This kind can come out only by prayer. And so, because the disciples were confused, like, what? I thought you gave us the power to, through the gods to heal people and get rid of demons inside of people. But Jesus illustrated that you can't just evoke God's name, In this situation, and many situations out there, you need to start with prayer. Prayer and connect with God about that. And then, this passage move on to other things, but I'm stopping there. Let's go to Luke to find how the people responded. If you look at verses 42 to 43, and maybe a little bit part of 44, because there's a huge crowd of healing of the young man. So Luke was a doctor, but I forgot what I think he was. I found out he liked to work the crowd when he saw that the miracle of Jesus healing. See there. Even when the boy was coming, the demon threw him to the ground in a convulsion. But Jesus rebuked the evil spirit, healed the boy, and gave him back to his father. And they were all amazed at the greatness of God. Everyone's marveling at all that. Jesus continued to talk to his disciple about it. So do you see those words? They're amazed at the greatness of God. So this miracle had helped many people realize that God is so amazing, the greatness of the healing of God. And they were so marveling about that. They're like, what? What did we see? From a young man, like, going crazy, and then suddenly Jesus, helped pick up the boy, not pick up the boy, but extend his hand, and the boy took Jesus' hand and Jesus helped pull the boy up to stand. And they're like, what? This boy's so different from what we saw earlier. Now he's like restored to a healthy state. Okay, give me a second to go to Matthew. Because there's a vision that Matthew, who I believe have witnessed that situation. By then, he was like one of Jesus' disciples. That Jesus, continued to teach his students. But what happened? So, if we go to Matthew, chapter 17, verses 19 to verses 20. Okay. So, Jesus just healed the young man. Then the disciples came to Jesus in private and asked, "Why couldn't we drive it out?" He replied, "Because you have so little faith. I tell you the truth. If you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, 'Move from here to there,' and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you." Oh, okay. Here's another angle. How Matthew, the lesson that Jesus taught really stick with Matthew. That he had to write the extended answer. It's kind of cool that you go between different, if there's the same story but have different point of view, like what is important to the writer, it gives an overall picture, because for Mark noted that Jesus says to the disciples, "You didn't really pray," and 2, Matthew illustrated that the disciples who were trying to heal the boy, they had little faith in what they were doing. That we need to, pray and have faith to have healing to come. That's the answer that Jesus basically is telling us. And then let's review faith as small as a mustard seed. Even if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, but even with a small, tiny faith, you have a mustard seed. But if you trust your faith in God fully and pray to Him, you can, as they say to the mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you. Because, you must seed faith will grow. By how do you want to grow your faith? Basically, you have to spend quiet time with God. What is quiet time with God? Basically, in prayer, worship, and 3, studying God's Word on your own. But also, you can grow your faith by meeting up with other people who have the same goal about want to understand God and grow closer their relationship with God. That you go together, you pray together, worship together, and study the Word together. And plus, other people might have a perspective, and that God must reveal to them that if you don't understand a certain part of the Bible, you can learn from other Christians. But make sure that Christian, their heart is aligned to God's heart. Because there is misinformation out there too. Because we can learn so much from each other. Because we have different life experiences, and then God reveals certain things that we can teach others to understand, something. I'm still thinking of that one story of Jesus with that woman, that Canaanite woman and stuff. I'm still thinking back there. I might revisit that story, but I'm moving on to continue on with, the book of Mark. That's where my personal study is at right now. It's good to take notice, that I really want to, understand from, Mark if you're curious about that, or the stories of Jesus encountering a woman, a Syrophoenician woman or a Canaanite woman. Well, maybe the same thing, meaning, but depends on who is what region, who's playing what. You can find it in Mark chapter 7, verses 24 to verses 30. And then there's another version of the story from Matthew chapter 15, verses 21 through 28. I'm still trying to figure that response from how Jesus explained certain things. Because she had... Oh yeah, Jesus did heal that woman's daughter from a demon. But I want to understand that conversation that Jesus had with this woman. So it might take a while to figure that out. But I'm taking note and keep that. But I'm going to keep going because there's some awesome about the book of Mark. I'm just so excited. Now, lately that God has I feel like He breathed into me to be more excited about that I need to get more excited with His Word because, God is holding on to me and just encouraging me. So, this is it for the healing of the young man or the male youth, or who knows how old that boy is, but I know it's not a little boy because the father answered. So I think I'll do another vlog, but this time focus on the training of the 12 disciples and how we can learn from that. If you reach a point that God called you to be a leader, to be like apostle, a minister or something, to train people in the faith and stuff like that.